So in this chapter, we're coming back to the Loki side of things, with the whole group that's tending to him at this point. And as he continues to recover, Zoro and Sanji go out and kill this dinosaur to get some meat for him, so he can further recover, kind of like how Luffy does when he's injured and he eats meat. So as he and Luffy are eating the meat, they continue to talk. And Zoro says, so that whole promise thing with Luffy, it was a lie, referencing the whole deal that they made about if Luffy were to release Loki, he will tell him where Shanks is. And Loki says about where Red Hair is. Unfortunately, that part's true. But you guys still haven't kept your promise to take off my chains. And then going further, he says, you really want to meet the Red Hair that badly? But I get it, that feeling. Looking up to a pirate when you're just a kid. And Luffy says, you talk like you had someone like that too. And Loki says, yeah, I did. Too bad I was just a brat back then. And then we go to this flashback of Loki straight up meeting Rox D. Xebec. And he says to Rox, take me with you. And Rox says, I didn't come all this way to meet a snot-nosed little punk like you. Don't make me say it again. And Loki challenges him to a fight, and Rox just stabs him. He stabs little kid Loki and just leaves him there. And Whitebeard, who of course was with the Rox pirates at this point, says, you pulled a weapon on a kid? Seriously? And Rox was like, shut up, Newgate. So this is pretty wild, and we've been talking about this for the last few days. But now we're getting to see it, and it's not as extravagant as I thought it was going to be. It's super silhouetted, which, I get it. This is silhouette piece. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we just never see what Rox fully looks like. Maybe we don't have to see him, if that makes sense. But as most of us know at this point, Rox was the leader of the Rox Pirates, the legendary crew back in the day that consisted mainly of Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard. There was a bunch of other noteworthy members on the crew, but those were the big ones. The Rox Pirates were also a big part of the God Valley battle that took place with them and the Roger Pirates and Garp and the Celestial Dragons and whatnot. And I guess that's what ultimately led to them disbanding. And that happened 39 years ago, I think, something like that. So I assume, going by that timeline, that what we're seeing in this flashback with Loki and Rox was happening before that. So it was at least 40 years ago, maybe more than that. We're not getting any timelines in this chapter, so it's just ambiguous at this point. But Loki is a kid, as he had to have been, given the timelines. And Loki is currently 63 years old, so he was, maybe in his teens or early 20s at this point. And given the way that giants age, it's totally understandable that he still looks like this or acts like this. And it's really hard to make out, the surrounding environment here, but I guess this has to be Elbaf, right? Because Loki says, take me with you, and Rox says, I didn't come all this way just to meet, Brad. And that raises the question of why are they on Elbaf? Maybe it doesn't even matter. We could just assume that all of the top pirate crews eventually go to Elbaf or most of the main noteworthy islands at some point in their voyage. But considering that this is being pointed out here, it's probably going to come back later, right? It's oh, the Rox Pirates came here and this led to this event happening or this chain of events happening. And this also makes me think about something we've been talking about for the last couple weeks as well. And that's if Kaido is related to Loki, because Kaido was a part of Rox's crew. And I think at this point in time, it's very likely that Kaido was on the crew. So Kaido joined Rox when he was 15 years old. And Kaido, I think, was 59 years old, or is 59 years old if you think that he's still alive. Hopefully he's not. So he's more or less 4 years younger than Loki. And as we speculated about before, it's possible that he is Loki's half-brother. King Harold got together with another woman, she who shall not be named, and made Kaido. The same way that he made Hyrden with another woman and Loki with another. So are we going to go further into this flashback possibly and see Kaido meeting Loki? And maybe that's another little wink at them being related in some way. So another thing that this sequence shows us is that Rox was ruthless. I mean, we heard the legends about him. He was not a good guy. He wanted to become the ruler of the world or sit on the empty throne or something like that, right? Or be king of the world. And I think that could go back back to what Loki was saying earlier in this chapter. Because Loki reveals to the little group here that the God Knights had attacked him. And Hyrudin says, "You must have gotten into some trouble while you were gone, right?" And Loki says, "Of course not. If I had gone far enough to cross paths with guys like them, I'd already be king of the world." And I think that's supposed to parallel to rocks, because we see that Loki reveres rocks. Like if Luffy looks up to Shanks, then Loki looks up to rocks. And him stabbing Kid Loki just, further shows how ruthless he is. And maybe even dispels the theory that he is a fraud the way that Buggy is. I mean, that theory didn't really have too much legs to it, but it still could be a chance that he's a weakling, but I just don't think that he is. He was probably really strong. And who's to say that, like, Buggy wouldn't stab a kid? I mean, maybe not Buggy now, considering the character progression that he's had throughout the series, but when we first meet Buggy, like in the beginning of the series, that Buggy definitely would have stabbed a kid. But yeah, that's like the real interesting part of the chapter that I wanted to talk about in this video. There's also another interesting thing that happens at the end of the chapter where Gunko comes face to face with the Straw Hats. I mean, not Luffy's group, but it's like Nami, Usopp, Brook, Jinbei, and Colin. And I don't know if they're going to fight now. I mean, that would be cool if they do. Jinbei's obviously the only one here who really has a chance at standing up to her. But given that Brook is here, that might play into how this works out, maybe, because we saw that Gunko was listening to Brook's song New World in the previous chapter. So she might recognize Brook as being the person who made that song, or maybe she's just none the wiser, or maybe Brook plays a song and it like reminds her of something, and then that leads to this conflict being averted for now or something. Hey guys, but first, let's talk about Gamer Supps, because I absolutely love this stuff. It's a keto-friendly energy formula to get you feeling nice and right to game, study, or do whatever. And while it does have caffeine in there for a nice little boost, it's not just that. It also has nootropics in it like L-theanine, L-tyrosine, ginseng, and a few others. So it gets you nice and focused and feeling good. And if you don't like caffeine, that's fine, because they have caffeine-free flavors that just have the nootropics in it, such as OnlyFox. They also have sleep support, such as this AFK blueberry lemon cake flavor. It's melatonin free, so you don't have to worry about that. And it's packed with magnesium, L-theanine, and apigenin. Take this before bed and it'll get you snoring before you know it. Gamer Supps also has these really cool shakers called waifu cups. You can't get this one anymore, or really any of them, because they sell out super fast. But if you're lucky enough, you can catch a drop maybe every other Friday or something like that. Gamer Supps also has Gamer Soup's Instant Ramen. It comes in great flavors like chicken, beef, and curry, and it comes with its own fork, which is super convenient. It's cheap, quick, easy, and really satisfying.
Link in the description. Code Big Z. Everyone listening, code Big Z.
Code Big Z.
Thanks.
Not really sure, but let me know in the comments what you think about all this stuff. And if you liked the video, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.